What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. And yesterday, Thursday night, was the official start of the 2022-2023 NFL season. The reigning defending Super Bowl champs, Los Angeles Rams, hosted the Buffalo Bills, and what was a pretty surprising game, I think people would say, from both teams. And obviously, the Rams, coming off a Super Bowl championship, they unveiled their banner. So that obviously probably had a lot to do with how they performed. But to make a long story short, the Bills absolutely outclassed the Rams pretty much on both sides of the ball. It was tied at 7-7 at one point after Cooper Kupp caught a touchdown. And then from there, it was basically just all Buffalo Bills. What's crazy is the Bills had 4 turnovers and still won the game by 21 points. And you just don't see that in the NFL. Normally, when you turn the ball over that many times, you're asking for a loss. But the thing is, the Rams played just as bad in terms of turning the ball over on offense. Matthew Stafford threw 3 picks, and they just looked very sloppy on both sides of the ball. And obviously, a huge talking point after the game was Jalen Ramsey getting absolutely torched by Stephon Diggs all night long. I think it was a bad performance by Ramsey. I don't think this is going to be something that they're going to need to worry about. It was the first game of the season, shaking some dust off, and it was just I just thought it was a statement game by the Bills. Obviously, we all know they came so close to making it to the AFC Championship last year. Some would say that their season came down to a coin flip. If they had won that coin flip, they would have knocked off the Chiefs and they would have played the Bengals, and who knows what would have happened from there. But their season ended in an early and unfortunate exit against the Chiefs in the divisional round. And I think they're coming back this year looking for blood because they looked really good despite all the turnovers they had. I think they walk away from this game saying, we came into the defending champs' house, the LA Rams, and we beat them 31-10, I believe was the final score, and we didn't even play that good. We turned the ball over 4 times, and they were also missing Tre'Davious White on defense, a huge component of their secondary, obviously an all-pro caliber player. And so Buffalo, I think they walk away from this game feeling really good about themselves. Josh Allen in particular was a baller. Josh Allen is just a baller. He was doing basically whatever he wanted to the Rams, hitting guys open. Gabriel Davis picked up where he left off against the Chiefs. He scored the touchdown on the opening drive. Stephon Diggs got busy against that defense, obviously cooked Ramsey on that long touchdown route and said something to him afterwards. And so I just think this was a very interesting, a little underwhelming game to open the season. I thought it would be a little closer between these two teams, but I've said in a previous video that this opening night matchup was my Super Bowl preview. I think these are the two teams as of right now. I'm not going to change anything after week 1. It's only week 1, so we can't have too many overreactions, but I think the Rams and the Bills as of right now will meet in the Super Bowl in Arizona this year, and Buffalo definitely looks like the better team, and it looks like the Rams definitely miss Andrew Whitworth because Von Miller was having his way last night. He had 2 sacks. Great addition by Buffalo in the offseason to steal him away from the Rams. And another key factor from this game to think about is, where is Odell going to sign? Because he obviously joked about signing with whoever won the game. I think there's a realistic chance he could sign with the Bills, and that will make them even better because Emmanuel Sanders did retire, and they obviously still have Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, 2 very good receivers, but I don't think adding Odell can hurt them. And the Bills, I just think they're the most well-rounded team in terms of their roster construction. I wish their running game was a little bit better because I don't like Josh Allen being your leading rusher. He's a quarterback. He's not supposed to be leading the team in rushing yards every year. And he takes a lot of big hits too. He takes a lot of punishment. Obviously, he's a big guy, but your quarterback shouldn't be taking that much punishment from these defenders who are looking to take his head off every play. So great opening game for this NFL season from the Bills, and I'm excited for the games that are going to be coming up this Sunday. And another big story in the NFL is that Lamar Jackson is going to be cutting off his contract negotiations with the Ravens because he said earlier that if they didn't come up with a deal by week 1, Lamar was just going to drop it. He's negotiating his own contract. He doesn't have an agent, so he's doing this all by himself, and he doesn't want this to be a distraction for the Ravens for this season. And I just think it's a shame that they couldn't get this done because this guy came in and won an MVP. He's done nothing but produce ever since he's been in the league, and they weren't able to give him an extension. I'm I know they're probably concerned with his need to improve slightly in throwing the football. I think he's a really good thrower of the football. He's improved, but obviously he still needs to get better in that area. I don't think that's a reason not to give him a contract, though. And so he'll be playing this season as basically a free agent when it's over, because he's playing out the last year of his deal. And I just think if he gets hurt, he's setting himself up for a scary situation in the offseason to where the Ravens would find an excuse not to pay him. And I just think that they should have found a way to get this done, because the Ravens are going to be competing in not a very hard division, but a division that has some respectable teams. Obviously, the Bengals, reigning AFC champs. The Browns, if they had Deshaun Watson, would be a respectable team, but they still have some pretty good players. And then the Steelers, you can never count them out. They're always in it every year because Mike Tomlin is a great coach. Mitch Trubisky isn't the best quarterback, but if he's not good, they can go to Kenny Pickett, who looked good in the preseason. They still have some weapons on both sides of the ball, so it'll be interesting to see what the Ravens can do this year and how Lamar, is he going to regret not getting a deal done with his team or not wanting to keep negotiations going into the season, because if he gets injured, that's a really risky thing to do. And so, yeah, big story out in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson not getting a contract extension. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is basically defining skill in the NBA, because in my last video, or not in my last video, in one of my previous videos, I talked about what Gilbert Arenas said in terms of Giannis not improving at any aspects of his game since he's entered the league. That's what Gilbert Arenas said about Giannis. And I think it's just important to define what skill is in terms of basketball. Is skill being able to dribble between your legs, dribble behind the back, make someone break someone's ankles and hit a mid-range shot? Or is skill being able to produce night in and night out, no matter how you do it? Because obviously you have someone like Giannis who's 6'11", but he doesn't play like every other 6'11" player. What Giannis does is he's the focal point of that entire offense, meaning he brings the ball up and is really the only true point forward in the NBA. Jokic is a point center. Giannis is a point forward. He initiates all of Milwaukee's offense. He gets everybody involved. He does everything for that team. And his basketball IQ over the years has gotten so much better. And if you watch him consistently, you can't deny that, because they've figured out how to use Giannis in different spots, putting him in the post and stuff like that, and he's reading defenses better. When he sees the wall that stumbled him against the Raptors in 2019 and the Heat in 2020, he's finding ways to break that defense. And that's why they swept the Heat the following year, and he averaged, I don't remember what his numbers were, but they were less than what his season averages was, but he looked like he understood how to beat that team. And then the Nets didn't have the personnel to even build a wall. Neither did Atlanta or Phoenix. But this year, when you saw him play against the Celtics, who had the number one defense, people were calling them one of the greatest defensive teams in NBA history, and he still found a way to average 34 points, around 7-ish, 8 assists, and 14 rebounds, because his IQ has just gotten better. He's gotten better at finding his teammates. He has a reliable handle. He has an IQ, and he improved in this season in regards to his free throw shooting too. So skill is something that I think can be interpreted in different ways. Some people interpret it as having a handle, being able to shoot from everywhere on the floor, because I think that's one thing. People mix these two terms up. Being skilled and being a good shooter are two different things. You can be skilled and not be that good of a shooter, a la someone like Giannis, because Giannis does so many things on the floor on both sides of the ball that just because you're 6'11 and 240, whatever he is, that doesn't mean you're guaranteed to be able to do what he does. He gets that through experience and reps and those failures in the playoffs that helped him grow to be a better player. So it's just interesting to think about what people choose to define as skill. And so I think when you're having a debate about who the best player in the world is, and you want to say it's not Giannis because he's not skilled, are you saying he's not skilled, or are you saying he's not a good shooter? Because those are two different things. He does so much on the basketball court outside of shooting that makes him such an impactful player, and that's why you saw him win a championship without necessarily having the best shot, which has gotten better year after year after year. So he's making these improvements in his game. And so it's just important to be careful and not mix up skill and being a good shooter. There's many different ways to interpret skill. So yeah, that was this video. I wanted to talk about the game last night, Thursday night, and Lamar's contract situation and sort of what I think skill should be interpreted as in the NBA. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to find all my content down below in the description.